But I know I'm the greatest. Like, don't get me wrong.
The greatest, though?
Absolutely.
The greatest?
Yeah, for sure. You know?
Even bigger than DJ Khaled?
I mean, Khaled is Khaled and drama is drama.
Yo, what's poppin'? It's your boy, Mr. J Hill, and welcome to another episode of the J Hill Podcast. But right now, I want to give a special thank you and shout out to our sponsor, that's Top Dog Law. So look, man, if you're suffering from medical malpractice, a slip and fall, especially a car accident, make sure you call my guy Top Dog Law. That's Top Dog Law on Instagram and topdoglaw.com. Look, if you check out his Instagram, you'll see he uploading big checks. I mean, like every day. I ain't talking about the little ones. The big ones. So shout out to my guy, Top Dog Law, topdoglaw.com. Get that money. I know I'm trying to get it. Yo, what's poppin'? You know what time it is, boy. J Hill, Mr. J Hill Podcast. We in the building. Legendary episode today. Some things happen behind the scenes, but we ain't worried about that because we really like that.
Yeah.
Drum Cruise, Mr. Thanksgiving, Mr. Dramatic, like Mr. the fucking legend himself.
I'm here.
DJ Drama.
What's up, my guy?
Yo, what's up?
How you feeling?
I'm excited. I feel like a kid in a candy store.
Oh, man.
Like, no cap.
I love that.
We've been, first of all, got this nigga number. This is crazy. This is crazy. We've been trying to do this interview for
a minute. You know, you called me at a very busy time. Yeah, I mean, you got to think when we first had the conversation, it was around the time with fucking Grammys, Super Bowl, All-Star. Then I was putting my album out. You know, my travel schedule has been insane. And yeah, you know, but I'm here now. So, you know, we getting right to it.
Yo, it's a blessing, man. I appreciate you so much, man. I'm really like that.
Yeah. So,
you say you feel like this is a project where you really pop your shit. You feel like you've been humble a long time.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, you know, when I'm on the mixtapes, like I talk a lot of shit, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's DJ Drama, you know what I mean? Like when I come off and, you know, like, you know, I work off the music and, you know, people know me for that, like that personality. Like I'm one of the voices in hip hop when you think about those who talk that talk, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, when I sit back in my regular life, it's, you know, I don't go around and scream like I do on the mixtapes daily, all day, every day. But I'm really like that. It was just like a title, like for this album to really like show and to show and prove. Like, you know, I've been doing this shit literally over 2 decades. You know, been putting on for the culture, been introducing the game to, you know, so many voices that have become superstars, time and time again, you know. So it's like why, and like I say on the song on the album, like why would you ever doubt me? You know what I mean? And like, you know, in a space where it's like I've been doing it for so long at such at an elite level, you know. And you know, there's been times in the game I feel like, you know, I may have been counted out, or, you know, I work good under pressure. So even when my back is against the wall, it's like, okay, it's nothing for me. You know, it's like being down by 15, 20 in the fourth quarter and then, you know, still winning the game. And that game, you know, a lot of times is Game 7 for me.
That's heavy. I love it. I asked that because you, at first, when I heard you say that, I'm like, wait, what drama is this? Because you never came off as like the most humble guy, especially on a mixtape.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, and that's how your shit get lit. Do you feel like?
But when you met me in the studio, you said like, "Damn, this nigga's cool as shit."
Way different.
You see what I'm saying? So.
Way different.
You know, it's like the yin and the yang in a lot of ways. So.
MJ, can you turn me up a little bit when you see my shit moving? Turn me up a little bit. Yeah. It is different, and I was wondering when I was thinking about that. I'm like, I wonder if being that on the gray box right there, to your right, yeah. You see that green? Yep. Turn me up a little bit. So I was wondering if you could have the success that you've been having, if you were that humble on the tracks, like if you was working like that. Because sometimes you see people being humble, like, you know, I'm just
Nah, I don't think it would make sense. Like the mixtape personality, like that's what people expect and they want. Like, I can't get on a Jeezy album and have a regular conversation like this, or get on Tyler's project and like not talk about being on yachts and being on a boat with my toes out, and it's like it's flexing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but I don't see it any different from the greats as well. Like, if you were to go sit down with a nigga like Eminem or Hove or Drake, like a lot of the niggas that's at an elite level in the game, like or Cole, or what I'm saying, are very down to earth human beings when we talking about everyday life. But when you put when we talking about, it's no different from sports. Like a nigga, like when I get on the court, I'm competitive as shit. You know what I'm saying, and I'm coming to like bust a nigga ass. Pause. But outside of that, it's like I'm no different from any other man. We all walk the same steps in life, and like what's important to me is being a father or being a stand-up human being. But like when I get on them tapes or when I get in my mode, like I'm here to talk cash shit, and I'm here to like show why I'm the greatest.
Now you say you don't write your shit when you be talking shit.
Yeah, nah, I don't.
But I'm sure you got a notebook or a notepad somewhere when you put like, I'm gonna say this shit. Right?
I do. I have like notes. Like every now and then, something will come across my brain, or I'll hear somebody say something that I'll take a little note of it and just keep it in the tuck. Just for like one of the projects that I may be working on, or where it might come in handy. But for the most part, like I really just go in and work off the music, like straight off the top of the head.
That's hard. Yo, I was wondering, I was doing my research and shit, and I saw the on Bootleg Cab shit actually when it like you had took Nicki Minaj track off, right?
Off the Gucci Man movie.
Right, and that's one of my favorite
mixtapes
ever. Like the movie. That's what I was singing.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so and we won't get into the top 5 later. I know you dropped your like top 10 not too long ago. So we won't get into that. But I was like, man, it's crazy because to be great, you gotta make a decision that nobody likes. You gotta make these decisions.
Yeah.
And you gotta ruffle some feathers. Even with we're gonna talk about the Meek Mill and Uzi shit, all that, but these are things that you gotta do in the industry to really differentiate yourself from the greats of being regular.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when Jay-Z broke up like the Rock Nation, they like greats gonna have to make these decisions.
Right.
You fast forward, and of course we see Rich Homie Quan and the Roddy Rich shit.
Yeah.
Did you make that decision?
That's a complex one. I just want to I guess put out there that like shout to my guy Quan, shout to Roddy. Quan definitely had a dope verse, and let's just say we're gonna amend the situation and make it to where everyone's verse gets heard in the correct manner.
So basically, you saying you did or you didn't?
I'm not saying neither.
Yo, what I do fuck with is I feel like even though you so like laid back or like chill or humble outside of the music, you still the same person.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I've been doing this shit a long time. I can get in my bag, absolutely, and in various ways. Like, even when I'm at a party, like, it's interesting because I think in a lot of ways, like, I'm somewhat introverted as a person, but like my job is to be an extrovert. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's somewhat of the balance. Like I'm real boisterous, and people know me for like I can command a room, or like I'm you know, I'm super top heavy, like when it comes to my projects, but in my daily life, like, you know, I'm more of a listener and, you know, just more laid back. So I guess that's just the balance of what I do. And, you know, I didn't know it was going to be like, you know, growing up, even becoming a DJ, like, you know, I started off as a DJ, you know, and it was more about the music. So it wasn't even so much about the personality or, you know, like, you know, when I was 13, my voice didn't sound like this. It didn't have this baritone or it was this deep. So, you know, in a lot of ways, I feel like kind of like, you know, thank God I picked the profession I picked, and, you know, it really worked out in my favor in a lot of ways.
Stand right there, right before we even go back to the beginning. In that moment, or in these moments when you want to be like an introvert, right? You want to be chill to yourself, but sometimes people might even assume that you are a certain way because of the music, because of the shit you talk on the tracks, right? You feel like coming in rooms, sometimes people already judge you for what they think you are and not who you actually are. Don't give you a chance, get the chance to know you for real.
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I ask you, like, did you think I was gonna come in the room and just be yelling and screaming and, you know, over the top?
I don't think I knew you was gonna be there.
Okay.
Yeah, and then what I will say is I told this to a couple of my friends because, granted, I'm getting like big interviews now, but I'm still on the ground. I feel like, you feel me?
Right.
So I was telling my friends like, bro, like, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, right? So the interview took mad long, right? But yours, I wasn't upset about.
Got you.
I'd be like, I'm gonna be straight up with you. Like niggas is playing with me. Like niggas don't think I'm really like that.
Yeah.
But yours, your energy was just, we was just vibing.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So like, I ain't have a chance to really think about nothing.
Yeah.
So even when we couldn't do it, it was like, I just felt like, nah, bro, he was cool. Like, it's weird. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like,
I just, you know, when I walk into a room, I walk into a room. I mean, depends on the room. Like, if it's a room, you know, full of my peers, or if it's a room, you know, full of fans, like, you know, but I'm the same guy regardless. Like, you know, like I'm a nigga who tries to take every picture, or, you know, tries to have every conversation that somebody wants to have with me, and, you know, just because, like, I know how the game works. You know what I mean? And you know, like somebody like yourself, you know, you saying you start on the, you know, you on the ground, but, you know, one day you gonna be at the top. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I know it from experience. Like, you know, I was a fucking college DJ, you know, trying to make ends meet, you know, and here I am, like, on the Mount Rushmore, the greatest of all time. So I just think it's important to, you know, to just, like, whatever type of room you're in, whether, you know, whether I'm fucking, you know, in Paris with Jay-Z and Beyonce and Rihanna and A$AP Rocky, or I'm, you know, at fucking Howard University with, you know, a bunch of students who, you know, want to be in the music industry. Like, I approach the room the same way. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's levels, and I've been blessed to see all, you know, all levels, and you know, I think that's what keeps me grounded in a lot of ways.
Damn, that's a fact. I think. Have you ever, I mean, of course, besides Nicki, but have you ever overlooked somebody and they became like somebody that was like a star? You know?
I mean, I don't know if I would say overlook, but, you know, I've seen a lot of artists, like, early on in their careers, for sure, and then I've seen them become, you know, superstars. Like, yeah, I don't know if overlook is the right word, but, like, you know, I mean, I met Travis Scott when he first got signed. Like, you know, I knew Tip when he first got signed. I knew Jeezy before he got signed. Like,
damn it, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen, you know, since I've been in the, like, I'd say in the last 23 years, like, you know, I've witnessed, you know, so many artists, like, early on in their careers, and, and to turn out to what they did. Or even like for like maybe like 3 or 4 years, I was the DJ for Double XL Freshmen. So, I remember all those who came through that, like when they were literally Double XL freshmen and then became like superstars, you know what I'm saying? So, I've seen it all. I mean, and then I've seen, artists that I looked up to and, grew up on, become friends of mine and become peers. Like, I remember the first time I got a phone call from Snoop, or, just thinking about how me and him have a text thread now, or the first time Puff hit me and was like, yo, I see what you're doing, or, you know what I'm saying? So, or Busta Rhymes, or, going on the road with Ice Cube and doing a tour with him. And like, these are like, these were like my heroes, you know what I'm saying? Like the niggas that I like, I used to watch on Yo MTV Raps and Rap City and gaze at, and, now they're peers of mine. So, it's just dope, man. It's just, the being in the game and being in the industry and like seeing the things that I've seen or where I come from. Like, it's just, it's a dream come true.
I wanted to ask you that, bro. We can talk about rapping and the people you work with forever. You know what I'm saying? You got a Grammy. We can talk about the mixtape. We can talk about all of that shit. But even before that, bro, like me being a young dude in the game, sitting across from a legend, right? And I'm not just saying that because you're here. Like, I mean that.
Mm-hmm. Good luck.
That was my. I make fun of the kids nowadays because I feel like so old because I don't listen to that shit, right?
Right.
I'm sitting next to somebody that like I listen the music I listen to.
Love, yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, man, as cliche of a question as it is, I only feel compelled to ask you, like, bro, does it feel like does it feel surreal? Do you sit back and be like, man, I can't believe I'm doing right?
Yeah, definitely, all the time. A lot of times it's like when for some reason when I'm on the plane, and I don't know, I think it's something about being above the clouds and just like, that moment when I'm traveling, like I just think about the things that I've accomplished, or like where I came from. Like, like literally I say it all the time. Like my goal when I started was to get my name on a flyer. Like just to think that was a goal. Like when I was DJing, like, man, I can't wait to get my name on a flyer. Like, and how minute that is, and what my accomplishments have been. And just recently, like, even for my rollout with the Juice recreations that I did, like, that was like that shit. That was the movie that inspired me to be a DJ. And like, here I am, acting alongside Queen Latifah and Omar Epps and Raheem and Steele, like recreating the inspiration to my career, you know what I mean? Like, and doing it like almost like to inspire another generation, and just to been able to pull it off, or winning a Grammy with Tyler, or just so many things, man. Like all the time I look at my accomplishments and be like, man, this shit it really is surreal, and it's inspiring, like I say, like if I can do it, like you can do it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was that kid that, was looking at a nigga like DJ Clue, or, watching these niggas on TV every day, wanting to be in the game. And now, like, I'm in that position, and like, I'm at an elite level. Like, literally, like when it's all said and done, when it comes to DJs, like I'm going down in the history as one of the greatest to ever do it. You know what I'm saying? I created like the most important mixtape series of all time, and I was a kid that like just grew up inspired to be in the mixtape game. And like, I used to take my CDs to stores, and they'd be like, nah, I would come back a week later, and I'd be like, did any of them sell? And they'd be like, nah, sorry, and like to be here now, 200 plus Gangsta Grillz in, 6 albums under my belt, like, can't count the amount of plaques that I have on my walls, and 2 multi-platinum superstars on my label, a Grammy to my name, like, it's so many things that I've done that, to answer your question, like, it still bugs me out, and that's the fun part about it, because I think when you lose that, like, or if you get in a place of like of being complacent or not appreciating the experience or appreciating the the successes, it's like you take it for granted. And I don't take none of this shit for granted, bro. Like, at the end of the day, I'm still a DJ, and there's thousands of DJs out there, like thousands of DJs across, let's just talk about in the States, let alone the world, you know what I'm saying? And like when people say, okay, name the hottest or name a DJ you're familiar with, like it's very likely that I'm going to be one of those names that a person names, so it's just dope to have, to been able to do what I've done and to be in that conversation.
I wanted to so much shit. I wanted to go back, even in that right there. The movie mixtape, right? Like nigga said, get back in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
I got Gucci. This is the streets, right? And it's like even you go there, then you go now, and it's the same drama almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like in that hunger, but that hunger is what keep you going.
Absolutely.
Kyron, we good? All right, we record again. All right, bet. My bad. Yeah, so it's like that same hunger is the same. That same drama is what keeps you going and what keeps you climbing to the top.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is that? Like, how are you continuously feeling like the underdog when we clearly not? You got a Grammy off of mixtapes. Your DJ drama, like you said, when it's all said and done, you're gonna be top 5 dead or alive if you stop today. Yo, this episode is sponsored by the Morning Meetup. Man, shout out to my guy David Shands, man. He's probably one of the few people I know who actually built multiple multi-million-dollar businesses, right? He created the Morning Meetup to help other entrepreneurs do the same thing. Now listen, as an entrepreneur myself, I know how hard it can get, especially when we start making money and we get to like this financial cap that we can't get past. And honestly, let's be real. They say it ain't what you know, it's who you know. We probably can't get past this cap because we either, 1, outgrew the people around us, or 2, we just being lazy and we ain't in the rooms we need to be in. It's just plain and simple. But trust me, this is your time because the Morning Meetup is that room we got to be in. It's filled with entrepreneurs getting to it. They reading different books every month, right? They holding each other accountable. And it's just honestly just something dope to be a part of. So listen, if you're an entrepreneur and you trying to get to this bag, you trying to flourish more than you've been flourishing now, you got to go to the morningmeetup.com. That's www.themorningmeetup.com and join now. Let's get to it. I see you there.
Yeah, and I'm not stopping today. I don't know. I think I just work. I work well thinking or feeling like the underdog. And I know a lot of times I'm not, but I just think it's like motivation. Like it's like LeBron. Like they count LeBron out so many times. Like so many things he's done, and like it's clear that he's the GOAT. With all his accolades and all his successes, like they'll still say, well, what about this or what about that? You know what I mean? So even at an elite level or like at greatness, like you still like that. I could still hear the chatters or the times when they might say, oh, Drum's not in the streets anymore, or oh, Generation Now is not this, or oh, Drum did that, and it's like, okay, like I work well off that. It's easier for me to work off of that and motivation than it is of everybody saying, oh, DJ Drum is the shit, like he's the greatest to ever do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me to get on a tape and to just say that is like, I don't feel like that's as exciting, you know what I'm saying?
Of course, yeah.
It's more of a story, like to get on there and go against, like, or talk about like what they thought I couldn't do and what I have done.
No,
so
facts. Okay.
It creates a good storyline.
Let's talk about the
But I know I'm the greatest. Like, don't get me wrong.
The greatest though?
Absolutely.
The greatest.
Yeah, for sure.
Even bigger than DJ Khaled?
I mean, Khaled is Khaled and drama is drama. You know what I'm saying?
You know I'm a fuck with you.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think we was having this conversation in a stew, and I think I think you've had this conversation before, but as big as Khaled is, it is a difference though. Like it is. Like,
I think like there could be a lot of the greatest. You know what I'm saying? Like I think when it comes to what I do, I'm the greatest. Like when it comes to what Khaled does, he's the greatest. When it comes to what Metro Boomin does, he's the greatest. When it comes to Kid Capri, he's the greatest. You know, like DJ Clue, he's the greatest. You know, so like that's one thing about me is that, you know, when I put myself in the conversation, or when I talk and say of how like incredible I am, that's never for me to take away from what others have done. You know, that's one thing I don't do. Like I've never, you know, not given anybody their credit or, you know, their props on what they've accomplished. You know what I'm saying? And we all motivate and inspire each other. And like I said, like hip hop is a competitive sport. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I think within the culture, like it's always good to have others that, you know, are on the same level or an elite level to motivate you. Like I know I do that to a handful of people. Like motherfuckers is watching me like, oh, I gotta get on some shit because Drum's on some shit.
It's motivation.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, that's how you gotta look at it.
But you know, when that celebratory event, you know, the event versus like, you know, he ain't fucking with you though. You know that though, right?
I wouldn't say that. I would say
stop the celebrity shit.
Nah, it's not even that. I would say like, you know, it would be an incredible celebration. Like definitely, like, you know, when it comes to DJs, we are at an elite level, and like I don't think either way it goes, it's a wash. Like, you know, that man got some shit under his belt, and so do I. Like I got some shit under my belt, so, you know, I'm never gonna sit here and say like he ain't got no shit, because like he definitely got some shit, and I definitely got some shit. But like I think just for what it would represent, like for the culture, would be incredible to watch.
I feel like y'all probably get motivated by like similar things. Like I feel like people probably talk shit about him not having like the street music, right?
Yeah.
And people probably talk shit about you. I don't know, because I fuck with what you do. People probably talk about you not having like them big pop records and shit like that. I'm assuming.
I mean, that's not what I do though. I mean,
Yeah.
I have hit records under my belt, but like, you know, I have a lot of culture that comes along with me. You know, I have a very successful label. You know, I have mixtapes that people can quote for days. You know, like I have a Grammy Award winning album. Like, you know, I got a lot of shit. So, you know, I mean, I hear more chatter just in general, just shit like, what does Drum actually even do? Or I wish he would shut the fuck up, or, you know, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So
I can see that.
That's more of kind of like what I hear. But, you know, I one thing about it is this game has created me to have super thick skin. So I don't let none of that shit get to me.
You got to. Ain't it's crazy that niggas make millions off of just talking shit?
Oh my God, like it's like cheating.
It's like, what do? I just fuck it. If that's what you want to know,
yeah,
it ain't nothing to put the music together. I think that might be the most frustrating part. And again, I'm not you, but like even like it's similar, right? Like I gotta pick the right people to interview, have the right questions to get the right moments to go viral. I've done it a lot of times, and every single time I've done it, the person on the other end was like, "Oh yeah, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't." It's like, okay, I done did it so many times in the absence of you. Is something that's consistent.
Absolutely.
It gotta feel similar, like, bro. Like,
nah, it does. But yeah, it's like when it's all said and done, you right. Like, you know, what I've accomplished, or what I've like made a career of being successful, and to watch people talk shit about it, it's like, yo, all right, well, if it was that easy, like, why ain't somebody else done did it?
Nigga said they made Drum, make enough.
And if it's like, if people didn't enjoy what I did, why have I continued to do it for this long? Like, I created Gangsta Grillz in 01. I put Trap or Die out in 05. Like, it's 2023 and I'm still putting out projects that matter. Like, come on now.
That's on my top 5, Trap or Die.
Yeah.
Easily.
Has
top
to be.
five.
Has to be.
That's one of my top five. Yo, what about in the workspace? Do it ever get hard, or have you ever had a moment where it was frustrating, where it's like, man, my work is so dependent on other people that I'm tired of that?
What you mean?
Like, like without an artist, you can't make a mixtape, right? Like, you need the artist to make the mixtape, make the projects.
But there's always artists. Like, there's never not gonna be artists. That's one thing about it. Like, as a DJ, like, I've transcended through generations. Like, I started my career off watching The Roots. Like, I made history with T.I., Jeezy, and Lil Wayne, and had a whole nother run with Meek and Fab and 2 Chainz and Gucci, and then had another run with Chris Brown and Childish Gambino and Tyler the Creator, and then signed Lil Uzi and signed Jack Harlow. Like, the artists are never going nowhere. Like, there's always going to be new artists. You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
So with that, like, there's never a time when I'm like, man, I'm relying on somebody else, because, as a DJ, like, we're the medium between the people and the music, and the music's never gonna stop.
Facts.
So that's never been a worry.
Finding those artists, like, because you do so much music with, like, super big artists, right? What is the process, and is it hard to find the up-and-coming ones and the right up-and-coming ones? Because you've done a great job at that as well.
Thank you. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. But I think that's something that a lot of people appreciate about my career, is that I've been a part of a lot of new voices and, like, a lot of new movements, and that's something that I take pride on. And, like, whether it's a Simba mixtape or
hard. Got La Russell on a project, I think.
Yeah, La Russell's on my album, or
it's somebody else I'm gonna name in a second. But.
You know what I mean? Like, even when I did, like, Crenshaw with Nipsey, or, like, I could go on for days about just, projects that I've been a part of that, like, have introduced new voices. So, I think that being who I am, and not necessarily always relying on, like, the biggest name artists. Like, I like to be a part of, like, new movements and artists when they first get in the game, because it goes both ways. Like, they've dreamed of having Gangsta Grillz, and then at the same time, when they pop, it's like, oh, Drum's a genius, he did it again. So yeah, like, I think that's been a key to my success a lot of times, is, like, being a part of and introducing, like, new voices to the game.
I saw you post, well, not you. I seen my guy from Baltimore, YG Tech. He posted a picture with you.
Yeah.
Not too long ago.
Yeah.
Did y'all do anything yet? Or?
Yeah, we working. We spoke about doing the Gangsta Grillz. I actually just saw him in Vegas at the fight.
Yeah.
We got some things in the works. Another, a new artist that's, like, he's fucking the streets up in
crazy.
Baltimore and in the DMV, and, like, he came to me about working, and I saw his movement, and I was like, yeah, I'm fucking with this kid.
Is when you do those Gangsta Grillz with the smaller artists, right? Are you looking, like, are you expecting them to blow up, or it just is what it is, just work, right? Because, like, I'm assuming, like, you do something with Simba, it's like, Simba, I think, was already hot, right? I think, no?
He was moving.
It?
I mean, he had a couple freestyles that was getting some traction.
What's the expectation going into it with these type of artists?
I mean, hopefully that, like, it becomes their breakout project. I think that the fact that these projects are Gangsta Grillz, people look at it like, people hold Gangsta Grillz to a certain standard. So when an artist does a Gangsta Grillz tape, like, it brings eyes and ears to it outside of, their core fan bases that, like, all right, oh, okay, this is their Gangsta Grillz. Like, this is that moment for them. So, obviously I hope for greatness every time, you know what I'm saying? And, I think the ratio of, like, of tapes that of artists, of newer artists that, then go on to become something. It's like, my track record is impeccable. I mean, I did Little Baby's earliest tape. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I sit here and try to really think about so many artists that I was a part of early on in the career. I mean, I did a tape with Dirk back in 2012, like Signed to the Streets. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could really go on for days about, those artists that, are where they are now, and that, at some point in their career I was there.
Bro, you did and I think we talked about this in the studio. People might not like this. This is on my top 5 just because out of respect, but I'll never forget when you did the Gangsta Grill, The Streets Is Mine.
Boosie.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I did.
That, when you did that, bro. See, I'm from Baltimore, so like Boosie is like our stepfather. I say it all the time.
But Boosie was big in Baltimore.
Bro, when you dropped that and we heard it, it was like, damn, he was like, so it's funny because as a Boosie fan, I was on Boosie, but it seemed like he didn't really get the stamp of approval until you put the Gangsta Grill out. And me, because it was a lot of like a few songs that we already knew, so that's why I said, I'm like, it was okay because I heard the songs before, right? But I would be lying if I didn't say I didn't see the impact that it had to his name. Like, people knew, like, oh, this is Boosie. I'm like, y'all niggas are tripping. We been through that.
Yeah, and sometimes people will put songs that may have been out on the tape because they know it's going to get to a newer audience that might not have listened to before. So as a Boosie fan, you might have been familiar with some of those songs, but then you got to think about like just average consumer of Gangsta Grillz. Like, all right, now I'm listening to the Boosie project, and they might be hearing these songs for the first time.
Facts.
So yeah.
Let's talk about the becoming of Generation Now, right? Because you had people like Kanye West, Joe Budden, the people that wasn't that you didn't think fit in the Gangsta Grill, like Janelle, right?
Right.
So you create Generation Now.
Yeah, I mean, so you got to put that in the context.
Oh, go ahead.
So the context is what you're saying is that Generation Now, before it was a label, was actually a mixtape title.
Right.
So in 2004, when me and Cannon, we had gotten some drops from Kanye, and I had Joe Budden hosting the tape. This was early on in the inception of Gangsta Grillz, and I didn't feel like Kanye West or Joe Budden had fit Gangsta Grillz at that time and space. So we started a new series and called it Generation Now. So the original mixtape of Generation Now was hosted by Kanye and Joe Budden.
Right. Looking back on it, knowing that what we know now, right? We got a Tyler the Creator, right?
Yeah.
He helped cultivate it, like, again, right? Rebirth, kind of, almost. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
Do you look back on it like, damn, I wish I would have did the Gangsta Grill with Kanye?
No, because I would have never came up with the title Generation Now.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, because of that, it gave me,
that's true.
It made me be creative enough to create another brand that I was able to double back on 10 years later to, name our label.
Yo, talk about the times, let's call it the blessings, right? For lack of better words. It was 2 things that I specifically remember. Of course, the raid, right?
Yeah.
And that moment, are you thinking it's done? Like, it's like, bro, it's over. Are you thinking that?
Only for a brief moment. Like, probably when I sat in a jail cell and, they told me no bond, or, I remember checking my bank account and they had frozen all my assets. I was a little shook for a moment, but I also realized very early on, like, I couldn't pay for that type of publicity, and the amount of attention that I was getting, or the excitement from the record label, like, I was like, oh, this shit might actually work in my favor. Like, these niggas made me more famous than I ever was, so I saw the difference, in the caliber of people that were familiar with my face or who I was after the raid, in comparison to before the raid. So, in a lot of ways it did more good than it did bad, because, like, next thing I know, I'm on the cover of Billboard, or, I'm the topic of conversation, and and even though I felt some guilt for like, not wanting the mixtape game to die on my shoulders, but like it did a lot for my career for sure.
You left the jail, went straight to the radio station.
I did.
Like, what was you thinking?
Man, I was like, I was on some shit. Like,
Cannon hated that.
Yeah, I mean, I was, for me, it was like, that could have been, like, the story could have ended there. Like, it could have been like, damn, the guy who made Dedication and Trap or Die and did all this, and then he got raided, and like, I still would have been in the history books. But like, for me, it was like, oh no, this is just one chapter. Like, this is not the final chapter. Like, I'm here to prove that, like, this ain't nothing. Like, watch what comes next. You know what I'm saying? So that was my that was my attitude and the way I approached it. Like, we can't be stopped. Like, you niggas, that's not gonna stop us.
No, facts. But even in that moment, like, you might be thinking that, right? Cannon might be thinking something else. And even in that moment, I think you spoke about it, if I'm not mistaken, or he did, that caused like a little friction between y'all two, like for a second. How were y'all able to like get back on one accord? And I guess for the sake of the audience, how did y'all even, like, what was the friction, I guess, just for the...
I mean, the friction really just came because there was some people involved in our camp that, like, Cannon didn't see eye to eye with at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was... It kind of was somewhat of like a divide and conquer situation, and he chose to go in a different direction, and we spent a couple years just doing our own things.
Damn.
And we had like I mean, that's my brother, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, even though we might not be blood brothers, like, that's my brother for life. And we had differences of opinions, or we like might have been taking little jabs at each other on mixtapes, but after a couple years, like, when we really like one day we just like chopped it up, and I think we went to Jersey Mike's and sat down, and like, it was really nothing, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was nothing there that was that crucial that we couldn't get back to work. So as I was creating Mean Street Studios, Cannon started to come around a little more. And one person that really, for the two of us, used to tell both of us, like, yo, y'all got to get off this bullshit. Like, that's your brother was Lake. And him and Cannon were doing a lot of work together, and me and Lake were doing a lot of work together. So he was a pivotal person, and like, just really telling both of us, like, man, y'all got to cut out the dumb shit. So, Lake wound up becoming my manager and my business partner around like 2011, 2012. And around the same time, like, Cannon came back. We started doing radio together. As I was building the studio, he was at Mean Streets a lot, and it just kind of happened organically, to be honest.
Right. I guess looking back on it, I would assume it kind of made it better. As men, I look at it like, sometimes your friends choose you, right? And like, to be able to fall out with somebody and come back and be the same. I think that's commendable as men, because a lot of times it don't happen like that.
It doesn't. Like, a lot of times, like, niggas fall out and don't never come back. You know what I'm saying? So, if we look at what me and Cannon been friends and been working together for like 27 years now, so out of that 27 years, 2 of those years was what we wasn't cool. So, that's 25 years, you know what I'm saying? So, like, yeah, like, what we've been able to accomplish is like an anomaly, you know what I mean? Like, to mix business and friendship and like really get to it, like, that shit is rare. It's very rare in the business, and more times than not, we see like labels and people who came up together fall out and spend a lot of time separated more than they stay together. So it's like for us, being 3 college kids who, had hip hop dreams and aspirations and, really made it happen. Like we are the living proof, the living dream that it can be done.
No, fact. And I'm pretty sure it helped y'all learn how to like deal with differences moving forward though.
For sure.
Right?
Definitely.
Like, y'all had I think the ESTG shit, right? Didn't you want to like sign him or?
Lake was real adamant about signing ESTG. I wouldn't say I was on the fence, but I was kind of with it, and I don't want to say Cannon like didn't want to sign him, but honestly, more than anything, it was more about how we approached the situation. The way we tried to go about signing him that didn't make it make sense for us, but and I gotta definitely shout out Royce, like one of our A&Rs, who was definitely very adamant about ESTG coming to Generation Now. But everything happens for a reason. I think him being over at CMG is a dope situation for him, and but he was definitely somebody that we was working at Main Streets and was like right under our noses, and I will admit, like I do feel like damn, that's one that got away.
I was gonna ask you, like, do you feel like damn we dropped the ball on that one?
Yeah, there's a part of me that feels like that for sure.
ESTG really,
yeah,
like,
I would have loved to have had ESTG a part of Generation Now.
That's going crazy.
Yeah.
Damn. What about is there anybody else that you feel like you could have had but didn't have?
Yeah, I mean, there's people that we wanted to sign that like that we didn't. We tried to sign OT Genesis early on. There's a lot. I mean, to be honest, like, yeah, there's definitely artists out there that we tried to sign Tory Lanez early on.
That would have been hard.
I was vying, or shout out to my man Certified Pat. Like, he brought me Migos early on.
Sound like you dropped the ball a couple times, bro.
Yeah, but I don't look at it like dropping the ball. Like, I just look at it like everything is meant to happen.
Oh, fact.
I mean, they're like.
But that's easy to say when you got Jack Harlow and Uzi though.
Yeah, like my ex, who helped me build Mean Street Studios, like, she managed Summer Walker originally, like, so in another metaverse, Summer Walker could have potentially been signed to Generation Now, so
that would have been nasty shit too.
Yeah, I mean, but things work how they're supposed to work, you know what I'm saying? So who knows, how things would have went if this didn't happen or that didn't happen, so.
Nah, facts. How was the Jack Harlow shit was a big one. I remember at a time, I don't know if it was probably just last year, it was a lot of like mixed feelings with Jack Harlow. Like, it was like people were saying he was an industry plant, but then a lot of people said they did like his music. And then I wonder, like, you was hearing that stuff, right?
Yeah.
What you thought about that?
I mean, it's the talk, I mean, obviously, Jack being a white artist, like, he's gonna get a different type of reaction to his success or to just like his placement in the culture, and then like I guess in the last 2 years, like Jack was everywhere, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like, musically, like, you couldn't turn on the TV and not see a Jack Harlow New Balance commercial or KFC commercial or Doritos advertisement. Like, he was everywhere. So, it was almost to the point of like, some might say overkill in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And he put out like his first album, and then he put out the second album, and it was met by mixed feelings in some ways. So, I think that just comes with the territory. I mean, it never, it's something I'm used to because I've gone through it so many times in my career, you know. So, and I think for Jack, like, you know, he's built for this. Like, you know, he might hear the chatter, but he doesn't let it like consume him, and I think he works well off it as well. So, you know, I definitely know one thing he's not is an industry plant. Like, you know, just to think like even as a white artist, like that shit's not. People think it's easier. Like it's not. It's not easier to break a white artist in hip hop. It's actually harder. Like you know. So, and especially you know, in a space where he's getting like salutes or odes from, you know, the Kendricks and the Drakes and the Coles and, you know, people on that or the Kanyes. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you know, I mean, it's like I think a lot of times, again, like it's similar to the underdog situation. Like, you know, I work well, or I like being in that position where people like kind of think we can't do something that we can, you know. And even with Vert, like, you know, Vert wasn't the typical Philly artist. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't, you know, when you think of Philly, like, you think of Siegel, you think of State Property, you think of Meek. Like, here's this kid with fucking green hair, green dreads, tats all over his face, like, singing melodies, you know what I'm saying? Like, that wasn't what Philly was known for at the time. And, like, you know, he literally changed the game. So, you know, we've done it time and time again, and we're going to continue to do it.
And he's still like a street nigga. That's crazy. Like, as much as people probably don't know, he really like a Philly nigga. Like,
100%.
That's crazy.
That 100%.
But speaking on like the Jack Harlow shit, I feel like as much as we joke, well, be serious about the black people went out reparations and shit, I feel like Jack Harlow did right by niggas though. Like, no, not like that. I think he did right by his people because he came in and he was one of the reasons ESTG got on, right? Like, he reached back to help.
He definitely did. He definitely was a very early co-signer for ESTG. You know, put him in his videos, took him on like one of the late shows and performances. He was on his album. Like, you know,
you can't be mad.
You know,
at that.
Jack was out there very, you know, he was at the forefront of the Breonna Taylor movement, and you know, like, he's very comfortable in his skin. Like, he's not somebody that's trying to be something that he's not. You know what I mean? And that's something I've always appreciated about him. So
let's get that man his respect, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's go. All right, so going back to the second time, right? Before the Gangsta Grill with Tyler the Creator, what was going on, right? Like, you might have been to the people, right? To the generation, to the general population, you might have been out of the hair, right? You probably wasn't looking for you. But what was going on then? And did you feel like you wasn't as lit as after it came? Like,
no, it wasn't that. I mean, I just think that I was doing a lot of behind the scenes work. Like, you know, we was having success with Generation Now. You know, I was running a label. I still was, you know, like, people still don't realize, like, I be on the road every weekend. Like, I'm
like every fucking day.
I'm on tour every summer. Like, I'm always working. So I might not have been dead center in people's faces, but, you know, it's like I've never stepped away from the game or from the culture. Like, so I'm always doing something, you know what I mean? But it might not have been as visible. And then, you know, when the Tyler project hit, and then, you know, from there, it just kind of like, it just, you know, next thing, you know, I did the Dreamville tape, and fucking, you know, I just went on a run, you know what I mean? So it to a lot of people, and to me as well, it felt like niggas was like, oh, you know, damn, I'm loving this DJ drama Resurgence, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I was winning DJ of the Year awards, you know what I mean? Like, putting out the album, like, you know, so I definitely see the difference in, like, the visibility, you know, and or even doing like podcast runs and things of that nature. So, yeah, I'm not somebody who like had to feel like I needed to be in front or like right there in people's faces to, you know, feel that, you know what I'm saying? I was, you know, these last couple of years where I might have not have been seen as much, I probably made more money than I ever made, you know what I mean? But, I said on the tape, like I was happy just getting Generation Now money. You niggas want me to get Gangsta Girl money again? Like, go run it. Like, so, but it's been fun. I can't lie. Like, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed being back in I guess the spotlight, or back in a space where when the conversations are had, or when people are just talking rap conversations, like my name's back in the mix, like I'm all for it, but again, like I've been doing this shit so long, so for me it's just like it all comes natural, but being able to, like, I guess, like go into a new phase, or I guess in some ways like the reinvention part of it, like it's a blessing, and I don't take it for granted.
No, facts. I remember before you even made the statement of, first of all, let's talk about that. You think I Just Want to Rock is today's Dreams and Nightmares? That's what, right? That's what you were saying, right?
Nah,
today.
What I said was, I said that it was for the Philadelphia Eagles, it was the anthem for this year. Like, so when the Eagles were going to the Super Bowl, TMZ caught me, and I was saying that, like, I Just Want to Rock was the theme song for this year. And the statement got taken out of context because people were trying to say that I was saying that I Just Want to Rock was a bigger song than Dreams and Nightmares, or it was the new Philly anthem. I was just basically saying for this year, like for this moment in time, like Dreams and Nightmares is a cultural song, clearly, and there's no comparison between the two songs. But, like at the end of 2022, beginning of 2023, like I Just Want to Rock was one of the biggest songs on the planet, So at that moment, like, it was a bigger song than Dreams and Nightmares. Like, that's not to say that over time it's gonna become a bigger song, and it just turned into a whole thing, and like I was just shocked that my opinion or my statement like took the life it took, or had the legs that it took. So,
but it was a good thing again, right?
It was fun. Yeah, it was it was, again, like you said, like it was a moment that put me back in the conversation. Like I enjoyed it, and I caught a lot of flack for that, and I saw all the comments and everything, but you gotta love it.
Being in the game 20 plus years, how long do you think it take to make a hit? Cause not make a hit, but for a song to be legendary. I was at I was in Vegas too, and I went to Dre's when Jeezy performed, right? And like, you're a big part of like all of his early hits, and they still resonate to this day.
Yeah.
The same with Dreams and Nightmares. And I was wondering, like, I might not be as, I might not like the newer music, but some of that music is going to be legendary 10 years from now. And I was wondering, with your experience, 20 plus years in the game, how long do you think it takes for a song to become like
it's
legendary?
Tough. I mean, the type of reaction that Jeezy music has is different. Like, the fact that like those records still ring off to this day, like that's not normal. You know what I'm saying? Like, most music doesn't age that well. So like it's definitely an ode to Jeezy and the music that he made at that time. But I think there's 5-year marks, there's 10-year marks, there's 15-year marks. Like, like the average life of a hip hop artist is what, 2-3 years? You know what I'm saying? So if you make it to like 10 years, like you're a staple.
Right.
If you make it to 10 plus years, like, you're a legend. Like, we can literally sit here and think about those who after 10 years like still matter. It's not it's not often, and it's not normal that artists get to 10 years or have 10-year runs, or like, I just seen Swizz say like, yeah, like, before you even talk about the greatest of all time, you gotta have 10 summers under your belt. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta be able to be one that has other ventures and is relevant outside of music and just touches culture. Like, it's hip hop shit. Like, the shit, the niggas that have the longevity, like, you know, you really got to tip your hat off to that, because that's just not easy. We can think of more artists that aren't here that don't make it than do make it.
I think Drake said it the best. Like, what he say? We'll see who's here 10 years from now. 10 years came. This nigga still going crazy. Do you
What song did he say that on? I remember that.
I don't remember.
He was barring up though. We used to ride. I used to ride my bike.
Crazy. What song? Can somebody Google it?
He went crazy on that when he said that, and he's right. Like, you know, we'll see who's gonna be here 10 years from now.
You still like a Drake fan after everything?
Absolutely.
After all the bullshit.
Absolutely.
I would hate that.
Like,
if I was you, I mean.
Nah, because one thing about it is I can separate what goes on personally within the music business next to the music or like
even personal with
the creativity or whatever. Yeah, like
okay.
Regardless of whatever, I've had situations with various artists, like, but that don't mean that I'm not a fan of their music, or like that I'm not going to like salute them and, you know, talk about their greatness. Like, for me to sit right here in this chair and not to talk about Drake's greatness would just be utterly just fronting. You know what I'm saying? Like, regardless of what me and that man has gone through, like, you know, that nigga has had a type of run that is unprecedented.
Nah, it's undeniable.
And
it was Tuscan Leather. That was the
Tuscan
song.
Leather.
Yeah,
went crazy.
Do you think somebody outside of Drake? Is anybody, even the legends? Like, is anybody making undeniable music now, or am I just being in my old bag? Like, I just feel like I don't hear it.
I think Drake has had the type of run that, like, I don't know if anybody's ever had. Like, I think what we're seeing and what he's done is definitely unprecedented. Like, you know, I think, like, you know, when you really talk about the greatest of all times, like, over generations, like, you know, it's unfair for his name not to be mentioned.
No, facts.
But it's also like, you know, hip hop is turning 50 this year, so like, like, there has to be different generations of Mount Rushmores, or like, you know, there has to be, you know, different conversations of runs and things of that nature. Like, you know, the type of run that a nigga like KRS had, or LL had,
and that was before my time. Kinda,
you know what I'm saying, or like,
crazy.
You know, Jay and X had, or Pac had, or, you know, the type of run that Drake is having, or the type of run that Future is having, or Kendrick or Cole. Like, you know, it's so many people. 50 had, or Kanye had, like, you know, Jeezy, Tip, like Wayne. You know what I mean? Like, we could go on for days and have these type of rap conversations and arguments, and, like, you know, it's kind of the fun of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that's what we as fans do. You know, and as much as I'm in the game and I am DJ Drama and I play the role that I play, like, I'm still a fan of the music. I'm still a fan of the game at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So, you know.
Because you're an OG, right? I'm going to ask a crazy question, a scary question, right? But I'm just curious. We talked about, I think Swiss said it, right? Like, before we talk about the GOAT, we got to have 10 years under your belt, right? Mm-hmm. But I feel like when a rapper passes, it's kind of like we almost give that to him depending on how good he was. Like, let's say Biggie and Pac, right? Biggie and Pac, they passed, and some people, it's a real argument that, like, we can't really say if they was the GOATs now because they passed so early.
Yeah.
Right? Because we don't know. Because think about it. If Wayne would have passed in prime Wayne, he's still going crazy, but, like, nobody, you feel me? But a lot of things happen after you're in the game, and it kind of, it makes people look at you differently. Right. Like, your name is flawed or whatever it may be. So I was wondering, like, is it the same when a rapper passed? Like,
I mean, I think the thing, when I think about it, like, first of all, like, you know, when you go back and you listen to, like, Big's albums or Big's lyrics, like, he's still 20 plus years, like, was saying shit that, like, is still impeccable, like, bar wise. Like, Pac, the same thing. And what I always think about too is, first of all, you think about, they both died when they was, like, what, 25? Like, the things they accomplished just to that point in their career. And like, let's think about where all those that were around them are now. Like, Okay, if we think about Dr. Dre, we think about Snoop.
Damn.
We think about Hove. We think about Puff.
Sheesh.
Right? Like, these are all people that are like some of the biggest and most successful and richest people in our culture today.
Crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
Big and Pac would have been right there, if not bigger.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's giving me chills. Like, that's a fact.
like
That's
let's
crazy.
really think about it. Like look where Snoop and Dre are, and look where Big and Hove are. Like, why would we not think by any means that Big and Pac would be right up there, billionaires within the culture? Like, they was on their way. You know what I'm saying? Like, they wouldn't. Big and Pac wouldn't have fell off. Like, by no means. Like, they would have been up there with the niggas that I just named, doing amazing things within music and outside of music, for sure.
Somebody else beat, like, before my time, but I feel like I've listened to his music, it was fucking fire, who I think would have been crazy. Big L.
Yeah, Big L was on his way.
My God.
Big L was on his way.
Crazy.
Like, you know, we know, like, Nip was about to, like,
Oh my God.
take it to a new stratosphere. Pop Smoke. Like, you know, we've definitely, you know, another person too. I was just thinking about, like, Eazy-E. Like, Eazy-E would have been on some shit. You know what I'm saying?
How old were you when it? Because I probably wasn't listening to that like that.
I was young. I was in my teen years. So
Okay.
like, Eazy died in 95.
Yeah, like
so
4.
I was like 17.
Okay.
I was like 16, 17 when he passed.
Bro, I
so.
said this in the studio. You was like, no, it was Drake. You tripping. I said, I feel like Meek Mill is the Jay-Z of our culture. Well, the culture underneath. You think it's Drake. You see how you're looking at me?
1,000%.
You was smoking dope. You smoking.
I mean, like, explain,
Yeah, I'm
explain
curious.
that.
Now you explain.
So Drake came out in what, 08? It's 2023. Like, he changed the sound of hip hop.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
He's literally ran every summer.
Did Jay-Z change the sound of hip hop?
Absolutely.
Or he kind of like paid homage to a lot of pieces of hip hop?
Everyone wanted to be like Hove. Everybody tried to sound like Hove.
I mean, Hove, he said it so. We paid homage to a bunch of pieces of hip
The
hop.
only reason why the only comparison that for you to say Meek is that, like, Meek is more connected to the streets.
That's probably the biggest reason, though.
Yeah, but I'm talking about, like, from a hip hop cultural perspective.
When you say culture, what you mean by that?
Like, the way Drake touches culture is the way Hove touched culture. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like Drake is like a nigga on steroids. Like,
No, I
he
mean,
sings, he raps, like, you know, he like, so it's like he does shit that had never been seen. And like I said, like, it was, if we look at how melodic hip hop is today, would it be that way if it wasn't for Drizzy? You know, and I just think that, like, you know, the same way, you know, Hove would even attach himself to other artists, and you know, they would go on to have successful runs. Like, Drake does that as well. Like, you know, they say he has like the golden touch. So, you know, I think Drake is the closest thing we've seen to Hove when it comes to, like, dominance and runs in the rap game.
I say Meek only because
And to be honest, I'd put Wayne there before I would put Meek. Like, if we talking about, like, for your generation,
I
like,
only say Meek.
Wayne is more of the next to Jay than Meek is.
Wayne came out at 12, right? Well, he was born in what, 86?
Something like that.
Yeah. I'm born in 91. It's like 5 years, right? So only reason I say Meek because I specifically seen Meek with the nappy braids, right? Like in the trenches. I mean, Flamers, right? Before the Dream Chasers, Flamers mixtapes and shit like that. I seen him talking shit like, man, I want Nicki and then get her. You feel me? Like, I feel like when I speak to people about Jay-Z, they seen the same. They seen him, like, back when his hustling days. Like, Drake came out on TV. Like, yeah, he was nice. I'm not taking nothing away. Drake is, he's like you said, on steroids. He's out of his world. He's not even, like, you know what I'm saying? When it comes to the music, I'm 100% with you. But when I talk about the culture, like, Meek was that guy that little niggas from the hood look at like, damn, I can do this.
Did he run 10 summers?
Meek, 10 summers? When you say run 10 summers, like if we can't compare it to Drake, come on, that's not fair.
Why is it not fair?
Fuck the 10 summers. When I'm talking about a nigga in the hood looking at somebody that's successful, I'm talking Meek.
All right, and every summer, them niggas in the hood when they went to the club, what was they listening to?
They probably listening to Drake for sure.
All right then.
But that don't. I don't know. So you think Drake too? She over here shaking her head. You think Drake? Nah, I don't know. I don't like that. Meek is really. I
think you got some light skin hate in you.
You think I got some light skin hate?
Yeah,
I love my light skin brothers.
I've
been giving you love since you've been here. I got love for my light skin brothers. Oh, you feel me?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Meek is another nigga that's made it 10 years. Like, you know, he's definitely a staple in the rap game. But like, I don't think when we talk dominance, like when we look at like since Drake got here, like, you know, his competitors, like it's only been a couple people that have really given him a run. And I'd say that's what Kendrick, Future, maybe Cole, you know, maybe Meek for a year or something. But like,
I don't think none of them, honestly.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, and you're not saying none of them. Like,
yeah, I'm gonna be real.
I think the closest one or the closest two is Kendrick and Future. You know, but like when I think of if I'm talking about Mount Rushmore of this generation, I'm a go Drake, Kendrick, Cole, Future, and Nicki. Like, and
wait. You said Drake, Kendrick, Cole, Future, and Nicki.
Yeah, that's my Mount Rushmore of the last. Like,
they gotta be four because
I know it is, but I'm just if I had to cheat and make it 5, I would do that. Or Drake, Kendrick, Cole, and then it's hard because I think Nicki deserves to be there for what she's done as a female artist, but I also think Future deserves to be there too.
Nah, I feel it.
So, you know.
And then, but you've been in Atlanta for a long time since you've been in college, like, right? Yeah. I feel like, I don't know. I know Atlanta niggas hate me when I say this, but I feel like Drake had a big role. He played a big role in a lot of niggas seeing success over the hump. For example, Future.
Absolutely. I don't disagree with that.
Okay, I'm just saying because some people would say they would choose Future over Drake, and I'm saying like,
for sure.
I feel like Drake helped Future get over that hump, just like he did.
I don't disagree with you.
Just like he did with Lil Durk.
I mean,
in my opinion,
Drake jumped on Tony Montana early. You know, he jumped on Versace early. Like, you know, there's a lot of artists in Atlanta that, you know, he gave that cosign to, just as there are on the West Coast. You know, he did it with YG. Like, you know, you can think about a lot of regions that, you know, Drake has given that. He did it with Ross. Like, you know, he's
speaking of all these artists, bro. Hold up. You put me. Shout out to Cannon, first of all. He put me in a legendary room. So we in the studio. First time you, Cannon, and Quentin Miller was in a room since like.
And it had been a minute. Yeah.
Right.
Matter of fact, yeah, that might have been the first. Nah, we had bumped into each other maybe a couple times through the years.
Bro, given everything that happened, bro, come on, be honest, bro. Do you feel bad at all about the situation?
Yeah, I spoke on that. You know, like, and that was one of the reasons why you saw him there that night was because, you know, just I guess he had just done an interview and on Vlad and was
a couple dollars
was speaking his mind, and you know, I reached out to him after I had watched the interview, and you know, and I pretty much said to him like, yo, let's do a Gangsta Grillz, like, you know. And that was my way of, like, you know, lending my hand to him, like, you know, after everything that had went down and what have you.
Did y'all do it yet?
No, we haven't done it yet.
I'm gonna shake your hand because I ain't gonna lie to you. I was gonna say you owe him a Gangsta Grill.
Yeah, I mean, and I would do it. You know, I definitely would. Like, you know, Quentin is a good guy. You know, he got caught in the crossfire, and you know, he's still to this day super talented. So, you know, I thought that would be dope, you know, and even for the world to see like a Drum and Quentin Miller Gangsta Grillz, like, niggas wouldn't.
Yeah,
niggas
I think
would
that's
be
hard.
shocked. Yeah.
And I think it's commendable though.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
those are the things that people probably wouldn't even understand.
Yeah.
They might hear the Gangsta Grill Quentin Miller, but they probably wouldn't even understand how dope that is from you too. Like,
no, absolutely.
I
for
think
sure.
that's dope. Aren't you about to do something with Rick Ross?
With Ross?
No.
No, not that I'm aware of. I mean, Ross is my guy. You know, he's on my album, and you know, we always. Ross might call me tomorrow and tell me he wants to do something. So you never know.
Let me see, because I think I seen something that I might shouldn't have seen. Yeah.
What's that?
Rick Ross, Gangsta Grill.
That's news to me.
No. Okay. I mean, it's just curious. And so if it come out and it's if he do hit you about it, I just got the first.
Yeah, you got the exclusive.
Somebody feeding me bullshit.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know who's telling you that. Where'd you get that from? Yeah.
I
mean, Ross is actually somebody that doesn't have an official Gangsta Grillz, which is.
Now I'm saying, are y'all planning one though?
We're not planning one, but you know, I mean, I might call him after this interview and be like, "Yo, you know, it's time. Like, we ain't got one," which is very shocking actually that we don't have a Gangsta Grillz.
You about to take it on tour too?
Yeah, I'm going on tour this summer with Snoop, Warren G, and Too Short.
Oh, you're not doing a Gangsta Grill tour?
Oh, a Gangsta Grillz tour? Nah, I'm not. I'm doing a festival run. Like, I'm doing a Mary J. Blige festival in Atlanta. I'm doing Roots Picnic. I'm doing One Music Fest. So I got like a festival run, but you know, it's no Gangsta Grill tour like right now.
That'd be hard.
Yeah.
You bring like some young DJs open up for you.
Absolutely, for sure.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to I think when people talk about like the new age DJs, I think they get it messed up, right? Like you came up, of course, Funk Flex, DJ Clue, there's some others, but the thing about you was you were different, right? Like you wasn't trying to be like nobody else. And I feel like nowadays everybody's trying to be like the next hot person. That's why you getting overlooked, because we already got that.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure you can probably contest to that with like just being a label owner, right? Because everybody's like, I'm the next Uzi. It's like, bro, I already got Uzi. I don't want the next Uzi. Like, do you think you notice that?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, like trying to be the next so and so. Like, you got to be the first you know. And like, I did a lot of copying when I was coming up. Like, my first mixtape, I copied the shit out of G.O.A.T.s. Or when I created Gangsta Grillz, I was copying Who Kid and Green Lantern. Like, you know, like they were our blueprint to what we were doing, but you know, I put my own spin on it. So like, you know, nothing under the sun is new. You know, I'm sure like when we talk about, you know, the Coles and the Kendricks and the Drakes, like they were studying Hove and Kanye and Wayne, and you know what I'm saying? And you know, everybody gets their influences from somewhere, but you gotta be you know what I mean? Like Vert was himself, you know, like Jack wasn't trying to be somebody else. Like, and you know, there's been DJs after me and that have been successful. Like, you know, Mustard has had an impeccable run. You know, producers like, you know, Mike Will,
Tay Keith, I think I fuck with him.
Shout out to Tay Keith, like Sonny Digital. Look at what Metro is doing right now. Like,
insane.
He's on an elite level. Like, just even when he just did a Coachella or with his album or his album rollout, like, you know, he set a new standard. So, you know, I don't think trying to be like doing your best drum impersonation is only going to get you so far. You know what I'm saying? So it's good to study me. You know what I mean? And you know, to take inspiration from me, but you know, you gotta be yourself. You gotta find your niche. And it can be done. Like, sure.
I mean, it's been done. We seen it, right? Like, shit. How was the reaction to like I'm really like that?
It's been good. It's been really good.
It's crazy.
You know, people have a lot of different favorites. You know, the Nip, Jeezy and Blast record, the intro with Tyler, Andale with Moneybagg or Offset, the Uzi and Doug record. Can't Believe We Made It with La Russell,
that shit was
Saha,
hard,
Carvina.
bro.
Like,
That shit was that. I think that was one of my favorite.
You Can't Believe We Made It.
Yes.
Yeah, like it's dope to me that people have various favorites, like Mockingbird Valley, the Jack record. Like I just think overall it's a
And you
good
put
body
pressure
of
on
work.
niggas. Like you
Yeah.
put symbol. Like you put.
Yeah,
it looked like
no
you
weakness.
put pressure on niggas. Like nah, you gonna rap today, nigga. Like you ain't coming with no.
Nah, for sure. I mean, I didn't want to half-ass with this album, especially in the space that I was in, or the lights that had been on me. Like I really wanted to come with some heat.
I was kind of like, I don't want to say shocked, but again, I don't feel like a lot of music is, you can play it twice nowadays.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I was like, damn, this shit is good. Like,
Nah, I appreciate that.
that shit was fire.
Nah, good looking. And I mean, I hope it has, great replay value. Like, I don't want to make an album that niggas just listen to once. Like, you want it to stand the test of time.
Nah, facts. I appreciate you for pulling up, man, again, man.
Absolutely.
It don't get no better than this, man. DJ Drama, Mr. I'm really like that in real life is here. I guess for the people that don't know, I mean, everybody know D Gram and all that shit, man.
Oh, yeah, it's DJ Drama. I think it's like that across the board. On Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok. Maybe it's like Drama Like the DJ or something.
Yeah, I know I keep saying it, but like I just can't stop. Bro, I come from the city, the slums, the trenches, you feel me? And the fact that you answer your phone like damn near every time I text.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it never was no like Hollywood shit. Even I didn't even want to text you when I got the number because I didn't want to just, you feel me? Like, nah, bro, it's cool.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. I just want you to feel that, but for real.
Absolutely, I appreciate
man.
that.
Fuck with my nigga Tech, bro. That nigga,
Oh, yeah, nah. YG Tech Gangsta Grillz is coming.
he different.
Yeah.
All right, man. DJ
Love.
Drama, Mr. J Hill Podcast is a wrap. We out.
Love.